First of all, thank you very much for allowing us to come down and talk to you.
I'm excited to see you guys.
Thank you very much. So basically, we're just going to ask you a few questions about obviously Turbo Systems and yourself. So the first question, the good old days, yeah, definitely. So the first one is obviously take us back to the early days when you first stepped into the world of food production, and where did it all begin from there?
Well, it started what was 20 years ago now. So
Wow.
when I was 10, goes without saying. And I decided to start the hummus business, but it was in my kitchen, so there was no major machinery there. It was just a little Magimix and a whole lot of bowls of chickpeas around my lounge, and my husband was a saint. There was tons and tons of packaging everywhere and water, and I was working in the day, so producing at night and waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning to make hummus and then taking it to customers on the way to work. So it was, you know, it sounds much more glamorous and romantic, but it was crazy, and it's the sort of thing you do when you're in your 20s. But my father had food manufacturing companies when I was growing up. So it's a plumber's daughter becomes a plumber. I think it was just, I knew I wanted to start a business. I knew it was going to be in food. And it was always going to lead to a factory because I grew up going to my dad's factories. He had frozen pizzas, so it was loads of dough on big conveyor belts. But it was, you know, you knew machinery, you knew mass production. You didn't know how to do it, but you knew it was doable.
Yes.
And so that's how I got into the, world of chickpeas, I guess.
Yeah. So obviously, when did you feel that the stage was right then to be obviously increase the output into like automation type of thing? It was
staged. I think it went slowly up. I think I went from my kitchen, which obviously could do very little, and then into a sort of small industrial unit. I call it my first factory, but it's probably being a little bit polite. It was just an industrial unit that had more space than my kitchen. And we froze, and I remember standing on top of heaters trying to make falafels and hummus because it was just so cold in that unit. But there I had like the lavish, you know, long tables and 2 stand-up fridges, so it was, you know, enormous. And then it moved from, I was making falafels in a little one falafel at a time, little gadget that you sort of pushed the side down and the floor dropped, so you made one ball at a time, and 100,000 balls later, you know what I mean, we automated and got one that had like 16 holes, and then you pulled down and the lever went down, and so
did you design it yourself? Did you?
Yeah, we went to a stainless steel guy and said, can you see this? Can you make me like more of them? But that was the problem, is we didn't know, and you couldn't afford to go straight from one at a time to the forming machine that gives you thousands, because it was too big and too expensive. So you had to sort of do phases along the way. And even the frying of the falafel was hysterical because it was sort of in a wok. So you had 2 woks, and then you had just with oil frying falafels, and then it became one of those little fryers, and then it became the big, inline fryer. So it goes up in phases. I mean, certainly the depositor was a joke because we used to fill by hand, and then suddenly this thing comes along that can just deposit it for you, and you think, oh my God, it's heaven. You know?
That leads me to the next question. So how did you first come across Turbo Systems, and what made you choose us, and obviously the first step into automation, obviously?
Well, Turbo was always one of the big ones for me, them and the blending, right? So we had to blend the hummus, obviously. So that progression was fantastic because you went from a Magimix to a bigger, and you suddenly got more hummus. But then, of course, you had to pack more hummus into the pots, which was harder. And now you were doing it, by hand. And so I don't remember how I got to you guys. I'm pretty sure it was a second-hand machine because I would never have been able to afford a new one. But I remember it was my first foray into, first of all, Northerners. I'm South African. I'd only lived in London. So this was my first time meeting a whole new sort of personality of people, which was fantastic. And then, and the warmth. And then also, I guess when it was installed, like the excitement around, oh my God, this thing just does it so fast, and it does it for you, and it saves you so much time, and you're like, oh my God, everything about this is so amazing. The only problem, of course, is that I was also the engineer. So some of your colleagues will remember many sad days on the phone with me going, oh my God, I don't understand. Which one is it? The little blue cable. Are you sure it's supposed to go in there? Pull out the little yellow bit and then push it in. Is it still? Can you hear the air? You know. And I think I probably frustrated the hell out of them.
Whilst on the telephone as well, I'm guessing as well.
Exactly, telephone and no video calling at the time, and I think they were very, very patient.
Right. So
but that's how relationships get built, I guess.
So did it make a big difference then to the operation of what you was doing before, and was it quicker? Was it more cost effective? Was it
all of the above, because you now don't have an army of people filling. You have one machine.
Correct.
So I mean that automatically is just brilliant.
Yeah.
And the reality is it does make it more efficient. It makes it quicker. It makes it cheaper. It doesn't break down. It doesn't call in sick. All those things when you are a one-man band are the difference between producing and not producing. It's not, it's not that let me just get out the redundant. There's no redundancy. It was it.
Correct. That is right. That's true. Yeah.
So.
Did it allow you to, on the operations side, allow you to launch new products then with the depositor?
Yeah, I think we used it a lot because we had a bigger range. We've actually got a smaller range now that we're a bit bigger. Okay. But we used to have a really big range because when you're growing a business, you'll make anything for anyone.
Yeah.
And so what that allowed us to do was literally you wash the hopper and the bits and then bring it back again, and now you're doing a different product.
Yeah.
So we could do all different types of products. And what I loved about the Turbo, I remember this being so brilliant, was no matter what the consistency was, we managed it. So we used to make a tahina sauce that was more watery, and you guys were quick. Here you go, you've got this little rubber end that stops it from dripping out. Yeah, that's the girly version. Yeah. But there was, it used to drip on the conveyor, and he used to go, guys, it's killing me. They have to wipe it down every 10 seconds. They go, we'll send you a little rubber bit. Great, thank you very much. Yeah. It was very, very versatile, and actually was one of the machines that we never ever changed. We changed the size of the hopper and the silver drum in the middle, I can't remember the name, but those things evolved, but actually it was a staple when we were growing. It never ever changed. That machine was so stable and so absolutely reliable. Yeah. It made our life.
So did you think it helped grow the business in a way? Did the deposit help grow it, or did it just make it become more, like I said before, more versatile and more automated sort of things?
That was it. It was the automation that does it. And I think we never got quite big enough at the time when we got it to be able to automate everything that went around it. So we just said, until we got the bigger machinery, we had a girl standing there putting a pot underneath the turbo at a speed that you couldn't believe with the foot pedal. But so it created this automation that we could just never have achieved with people. Yeah. And it is a very reliable machine.
Yes, it is. Yes, I totally agree. Yeah. So you are an incredible example of how independent food producers can achieve incredible things with an idea and a dream. If you was to give any advice to anybody in a similar position to start up, would you offer this solution of automation to do that from somebody for a small kitchen or an idea? Would you step into that next idea of automation?
I think it's I absolutely more than most appreciate the difficulty of a small business thinking about moving into machinery, because it is such an it's not even a big investment when you're big enough, but when you are small, it's an enormous investment, so it makes you lose sleep at night. But my advice is, as soon as you can, do so, because it's penny wise, pound foolish. That money that you save is actual, and the reality is, when those machines are in and you develop the right relationships with the people that are behind the scenes, and it really is, it's a development of a relationship with them, because you're going to need them. These things, an air pipe comes out, whatever it is, you need that support, and you don't always have engineers on site. So you need to develop those relationships and say, guys, give me something that's basic, that's not going to break down, and that's what I love about the turbo stuff. And so I would say, always move into it. When you can, do so, because it sort of catapults the business. You then have more time to do things. It's just an unbelievable difference.
I think you then trust the operation, I suppose, really do as well. Like you picked up earlier on, if it was a person, they could go on sick.
Absolutely.
The machines will always be there. You do get faults, you do get breakdowns, that's just normal. But you'd like to think the machine is there for full operation.
It's reliable. It is reliable. It's really, really reliable. And because you know what it does and how many it does in a minute, it's easy to cost. Whereas
Yes.
people, you do it once, you count it and you cost it accordingly. But the next time they do it faster or slower, and you haven't got that visibility. So you don't know really what it costs you when a person is doing it. And that costing is the difference between survival and not survival.
I totally agree. And also things like wastage as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
That is a huge thing. I mean, absolutely, wastage is a...
I think it's a key thing in
It's a
automation, obviously, nowadays. Obviously, we speak to people who are doing it in jugs, ladles.
Yeah.
And like you said, saying to me, look, if you can automate this, obviously then you're going to cut down a lot of waste and get to the exact weights that you want for your product.
No,
and that is key, obviously.
It's key. These are the little things that you just don't count when you're a small business because they're not obvious. But they are the death by 1,000 cuts. You just don't know they're hitting you, and they are. And I remember we were making the same tahina dressing, and I remember watching a woman in the factory filling the pots. They were 1 kilo, so they were a bit bigger.
Yeah.
And she took it, and I had a jug and a big vat of this. So she's going like this, and the scale's there. So she pours it in, and then she goes back and puts a little bit more, and then I go, can you just put a whole jug and pour till it's one? When it's a kilo, take it. You know what I mean? But you can't count that in terms of costing, and that you don't see how much that costs you money. So you think you're spending a lot of money on a machine, but you're not. The difference is night and day. Press the pump twice, and you've got a kilo. Press every time, and then that's your costing.
Yeah.
So it does make a big difference.
Yeah, fantastic. So, what's now the ambitions for Ramona's Kitchen? That's a big question to ask.
Well, we've now moved into dips, so we were all hummus and falafel, but now we're moving into dips, and so now it's all guns blazing. We're going to be looking at some really beautiful cheese-based dips, some different pulses, and also things that you can use in different ways, so different eating occasions. And I think the brand is now trusted, and so when we come out with things, people know we're going to make sure that it tastes amazing, that it's usable, that it's moreish, that it's easy to eat, and that it's great for sharing.
Yes, that is true. But the logo says made with love.
Made with love.
Yes.
Always made with, and it is. Really, genuinely, it is.
No, it's fantastic.
And it
So,
makes a difference.
looking back on the experience today with Turbo Systems, obviously, would you be happy to recommend Turbo Systems machinery or depositors to other companies?
It's more than that. I recommend the people behind it.
Yes, true.
And therefore, absolutely have no problem with the machinery, because everyone can sell you a machine. What you need is the people that know the machinery well, that can help you over the phone, that can react quickly. That's the part that you need, and that's what I recommend. The machines are fantastic, but the people behind it,
I agree.
it's 20-year-long relationship with them, and I've been using them and haven't stopped using them. It's important.
Yeah, well, I think it's this year's our 60th anniversary, so we've been around a long time now.
Yes.
We seem to do the right still, and I think things will progress within the business. But yeah, things are good. Things are looking really good. So, well, Ramona, thanks very much for your time today, and we wish you all success in your business.
I appreciate it.
And I'll pass my regards on to the rest of the team.
Yes, who I'm sure remember me asking for girly versions of
Yes,
everything.
yes, I won't mention them.
Don't talk to me in boy, talk to me in girl. I don't understand what you're saying. Say colours and
Yes, definitely bright
this
colours.
vibe, yeah.
Definitely bright colours, definitely. But well, Ramona, thank you very much for your
Thanks for
time.
having
Really
me, guys.
appreciate it.
Always
Thank
a
you.
pleasure.